Bienvenido a Good Enough Spanish, donde mi misión es ayudarte a aprender español lo suficientemente bueno como para viajar más, sentirte más seguro y sacar más provecho de la vida. Welcome to Good Enough Spanish, where my mission is to help you learn Spanish good enough to travel more, feel more confident, and get more out of life. And in this lesson, we're going over accommodation Spanish. Because no matter which Spanish-speaking country you visit, one thing's for sure, you're gonna have to keep a roof over your head, unless you wanna be out there in them streets. And I don't think you wanna do that. And with that accommodation comes communication that you're gonna have to partake in, whether it's asking questions about your accommodation or being given information about your accommodation. This will happen. This will come to pass. So it's a good idea to learn some accommodation Spanish before you get out there on the road so that you can feel confident about what you're being sold. Okay, so today the site I'm using to do the accommodation tutorial on is Airbnb, because Airbnb is a site that I use all the time when I travel, and a lot of other people around the world too. So it's a good site in a familiar environment to teach you accommodation Spanish. Okay? Now, when you visit Airbnb, it will be in your default language, English. Okay, I'm assuming if you're watching this, your native language is English. Okay, so what you want to do is change it over to your target language, which is Spanish. Okay? Now, this is how you do that. You press this little circle or world looking icon, press it, and we want to change it over to Spanish. But as you can see, one good thing about Airbnb is that they have the Spanish broken down and even the English broken down into different countries. Okay, so just looking at the Spanish, we have like Espanol Colombia, Espanol. We have the main Spanish like Espanol Latin America, for example, but then it breaks it down even further than that, and breaks it down into country specific. Okay, like Espanol Colombia, Espanol Costa Rica, Espanol Ecuador, and so on. So this makes it even better to target the type of Spanish that you want and really get that practice in. Okay. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to choose Espanol Colombia. First, because it's a country that I frequent the most. And second, it's because Colombia is known as a great place to learn Spanish, particularly in places in cities like Medellin, Colombia. Okay? Because it's known to be, for learners, more clear Spanish to learn. Okay? So we're just going to pick Espanol Colombia for the sake of this tutorial. But before I switch over to that, let's switch back to the default language, English. And let's just read the top of that. Let's review. I'm sure you've seen Airbnb before. It's a familiar environment. Let's just read the top of that. It says stays, experiences, online experiences. And then that familiar search box. We all know that. Where? Search destinations, check-in dates, check-out dates. Who? Add guest. Okay, so now let's switch over to the Espanol Colombia. Okay. Ta-da! Change to Spanish. Okay. Now let's read this again. Estadías, experiencias, experiencias en línea. Okay. So you can gather estadías means stays, experiencias, experiences. You can even see and hear our root word of experience in there. Experiencias en línea. Online experiences online. Okay? So you can see the similarities there and you can hear them. Okay? And then donde, which is where. Explora destinos. Explore destinations. Another good example where our root word, our English root word, is in the Spanish. Explore. Explora destinos. Destinos, destinations, destinos. Okay? Llegada. Okay? Arrival. Agrega fechas. Llegada. Agrega fechas. Arrival. Add date. Okay? Fechas. Just think of teaching your dog to go fetch the paper that has the date on it. That's how I remember it. Okay? Salida. You're going to leave. Okay? Agrega fechas. Add dates. Okay? And then just being familiar with this environment, you already can gather quién cuántos. Who? Quién is who? Cuántos? How many? Cuántos? Okay? And you see, you get this familiar drop down box. Adultos. What do you think that means? You see our root word in there. Adults. Easy peasy. So, and edad. And you can tell by the number next to it, oh, that must mean age. And you'll be right. 13 años o más. 13 años o más. 13 means 13. 13 años o más. 13 años o más. Okay? Okay? De niños. Niños are children. And you can gather that in this familiar Airbnb environment, this familiar accommodation environment. This is edades dos a 12, 2 to 12. So you can gather already that, oh, that must mean children. Okay? And bebés. Bebés. What do you think that means? Kind of sound like babies, right? You would be right. Bebés. Menos de 2 años. Menos de 2 years old. Menos de 2 años. Okay? Años means years. Años. Okay? Mascotas. Think about it. What do you think that means? Mascotas. You've seen it before. Yep. Pets. Mascotas. The way I remember that word, I just think of pets are usually used as mascots online and in a lot of businesses and things like that. They usually use pets as a mascot. So that's how I think of it. That's how I remember the Spanish word. Mascotas, pets. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is just choose an accommodation. Okay. In Colombia, we just go with Medellin. Okay. Not choosing anything specific, just for the sake of this lesson. Okay. So let's just choose some random dates. Let's choose a random date. Okay. Donde? Remember where? Medellin, Colombia. Llegada. Llegada. Arrive. Llegada. Arrival. 23 April. 23 of April. 23 de abril. Salida. Leaving. Remember? Sale. Leaving. 25th of April. 25 de abril. Okay? Remember? So, ¿quién cuántos? They want to know how many people are coming. So I'll just say one. Okay? And buscar. What do you think buscar means? Yep, it means search. So, explora destinos. Donde explora destinos? Okay? Where? Explore destinations. So, let's just put Medellin in for right now. All right? Some temporary dates for the sake of this tutorial. Okay? So, the dates. Llegada is 23rd of April, which is 23 de abril. April in Spanish is abril. Okay. Salida, leave, sally, leave is 25th of April. 25 de abril. Okay. Okay. ¿Quién? Who? ¿Quién? One guess. Un huésped. Huésped means guest. One guess. Adultos. Adultos. Adults. One guess. Adultos. And buscar. What do you think buscar means? That red button. You familiar with it? Yep. Search. Buscar. All right. So now we see that there are, let's just choose one. We're not trying to choose a real destination right now. Let's just choose one. So let's just choose anyone. Any, meeny, miny, mo. Okay. I'm just trying to choose something with some Spanish writing in it. Okay, great, great. So it says suites de invitados entero en Envigado, Colombia. Okay. So suite de invitados means guest suite. Entero means entire. And just that and is in Envigado, Colombia. So guest suite entire in Envigado, Colombia. So in plain English, that's entire guest suite in Envigado, Colombia. Okay. Then we go down a little bit more. It says favorito entre huéspedes. Remember, guess is huéspedes. Okay. Favorito, you can guess that means favorite. Always check for that root word. A lot of times you can figure out Spanish terms like that because our English root word will oftentimes be hiding right there in the Spanish in plain sight. And sometimes it's an exact match. Okay. Okay. So this is a good one. Okay. And again, this is not a tutorial on how to choose an Airbnb. I'm just using it to break down and strip down the Spanish terms to demystify it for you. Okay. Anfitrión. Anfitrión is a host. That's what anfitrión means. Okay. And right here, this is a super anfitrión. So super host. Okay. So right here, this says ideal para trabajar a distancia. Okay. So Spanish English, that says ideal for work to distance. But in plain old English, literally it means ideal for remote work. Okay. Let's break it down some more. Okay. I don't want to overwhelm you, but we're just going to continue breaking it down, and hopefully this is demystifying a lot of Spanish and relating it in a way that you can start grasping it. Okay. Especially relating it to the English language. So let's move on. And also, being in this familiar environment, what helps you learn Spanish easier too is the icons. Okay, we already know by this icon, that's like a pet paw. So we already know this sentence, this little blurb right here is going to be something about pets. Regardless of whether you know Spanish or not, or how much you know, you're going to already know, oh, this is something about pets. So again, that familiarity, that familiar environment is facilitating your learning. Okay, it's like watching a movie that you've seen before in a different language. You may not understand everything, but the fact that you've treaded that trail before, you walked that walk before, you've seen that movie before, it just makes it easy to digest, easier to interpret. Okay, so las mascotas son bienvenidas. Okay, now remember what I said? Mascotas, pets are usually used as mascots in a lot of businesses and online and things like that. Mascots, okay, that's how I remember. Mascotas, pets, are welcome. Bienvenida. Bienvenida is welcome. So las mascotas son bienvenidas. Okay. Now, one thing I like to read is the the description a little bit. So it says, acerca de este espacio. Let's break that down. Acerca de este espacio. Basically, it says about. Acerca de means about. Este means this. And espacio, space. Apartamento totalmente amoblado cerca de paradas de autobús, tiendas y el centro de Envigado. Es un alojamiento independiente con un dormitorio, un baño, cocina, lavadora, conexión a Internet y todo lo que necesita para tener una estancia confortable. Okay. Let's break that down a little bit. So that means apartamento totalmente amoblado. Okay. You're going to see that a lot, choosing accommodations anywhere you go, whether it's with a hotel, whatever. But a lot of people use this Airbnb, so good environment to learn the Spanish. Accommodation Spanish. Practical vocabulary that you're going to need. Okay. So, apartamento is apartment. Okay, you can see our English, and here our English root word in there. Apartamento. Totalmente. What do you think that word means? Look at it. Yes, right, totally. Totalmente. Amoblado cerca de paradas de autobús. Totally furnished. Amoblado is furnished close to stops of buses. So, in plain old English, total furnished apartment close to bus stops. So that's good. Tiendas y el centro de Envigado. Okay? Tiendas is stores. Y el centro de Envigado. Now let's break that down. Stores and the center of Envigado. So, tiendas is stores. A lot of tiendas in Latin America, and especially in Colombia. Okay, so again, apartamento totalmente amoblado cerca de paradas de autobús. Voice cracked there a little bit, but hey, we're going to keep going. Tiendas y el centro de Envigado. So totally furnished apartments close to bus stops, stores in the center of Envigado. Okay? Let's breaking it down. You wrapping your mind around the Spanish? See, it's not that intimidating once you start breaking it down. Now, let's go on with this next sentence. Es un alojamiento independiente con un dormitorio, un baño, cocina, lavadora, conexión a Internet y todo lo que necesita para tener una estancia confortable. Now, let's break that down. Es un alojamiento independiente con un dormitorio. Okay? It is. A. Remember I said it means a. Alojamiento means accommodation. Independiente. What do you think that means? What does it sound like? Sounds like independent, right? You'd be right. Independiente con un dormitorio. Now think about it. Think about an English root word that kind of sounds like that. It means the same thing. A lot of times a room or bedroom, especially in college, it's called a dormitory. So, dormitorio, bedroom. Un baño. Baño is bathroom. Cocina. Cocina is kitchen. Lavadora. Lavadora is washing machine. Think of lava, washing machine. Conexión a Internet. Now let's think about that. Conexión a Internet. I know you can guess that. Okay? Yep. Connection. Conexión a Internet. Internet, that's an exact match. Y todo lo que necesita para tener una estancia confortable. Okay? And all, total is all. Y todo lo que, y todo what you need, necesita. You see our English root word in there. Okay? Necesita para is for. Tener, to have. Una, un or una means a. Una estancia. Estancia, take a stance. Estancia means stay. Estancia confortable. And I know you can figure out what this word means. Think about it. Yep. Comfortable. Confortable. It's a little different pronunciation and a slight difference in spelling, but similar enough that you can make the connection. So what I'm trying to get you to be aware of here is that you can use your English as a backbone to facilitate your Spanish learning, to learn Spanish easier and faster. Oftentimes, people just get intimidated by the language. And I know it's a learning process, but if you stop and think a lot of times and pull back the covers and strip it down and don't let it bully you, strip this Spanish down to its underwear. This is what we're doing. And you'll see that, hey, it ain't so big and bad. We can do this. We can understand this. Okay? We can break this down and see it for what it really is. Okay? All right. So we're not going to go over all of this, but let's just go over a little bit more. ¿Dónde vas a dormir? Okay, look at it. Now, and then they're showing a big bed. So what do you think they're asking? And there's a question mark there. Matter of fact, there's two. And just so you know, in Spanish, they have a question mark at the beginning and the end. Upside down question mark at the beginning and a regular question mark at the end. Because they want you to know up front, hey, we're about to ask you a question. Okay? That's just how they do it. So, but with that bed, that's giving you a familiar context clue. You may not even know what it means, but you know it's about that. It's something asking something about a bed. So there you go. You're using your context clues. You're using your common sense. Donde, where you're going to sleep. Donde vas a dormir? Okay? And dormir is related to our English word dormant. If you think about it, when you sleep, what are you? You're dormant. Okay? There you go. All right. So, and also, habitación is another word for dormitorio, which we said was a dormitory, which is a room. Also, they flip-flop and say habitación sometimes too for a bedroom. Okay? And if you think about habitación, let's break down that root word that's related to our English word habitat. And if you think about it, a bedroom is also a habitat. Think about that. So, all right. So, all right. And we're going to go over here. Lo que este lugar ofrece. So, what does this place offer? That's what that means. Lo que, what? Este, this. Lugar means place. Ofrece, offer. Okay, now that might not sound exactly like offer, but it puts you in the mood of our word offer, ofrece. Okay, and also using your context clues too in this familiar environment we're on Airbnb. You can use your context clues and already know about what they're saying. Okay, look, they even have stuff listed. If you don't know anything else, you see the icons, so you probably gather, hey, maybe they're showing us what they offer. Okay, and you would be right. So let's look at it. See these utensils? Where you find these utensils like that in a house or in an accommodation? Nowhere but a kitchen. Okay, so cocina. Remember that familiar word? Cocina, kitchen. Okay, I think about it like I'm walking into a casino when I walk into a kitchen. Cocina. Okay. Okay, and this desk right here. Zone, this desk right here. It probably means something like work or something like that. So, zona de trabajo. Zona de trabajo. Not zona. Okay. And if you went over the Spanish alphabet, that Spanish alphabet video, you'll understand that a Z in Spanish sounds like an S. Okay. So it's zona de trabajo. Okay. Zone. See our English root word hiding there? Zone of work. So trabajo means work. Zona de trabajo. Okay. So it's got a work zone here, workspace. Remember them paws again? Look at that. Look at the icon. You already know it means something about pets. Se permiten mascotas. What do you think they're saying? I hope you guessed it. Yep. They're saying they allow pets. They permit. See? Permit. Our English root word in there hiding, but it can't hide from us. We're too sharp for that. They permit, se permiten mascotas. They permit pets. En lavadora en la vivienda. Okay, remember we said lavadora. That lava, is that lava in your head? Imagine that. Lavadora en la vivienda. So lavadora is so washing machine in the house. Gratis means free. Gratis. Okay, let's go over a couple more of these. Se permite dejar el equipaje. Okay, now this will be an important one too. Oftentimes when you arriving early to an accommodation, an Airbnb, maybe you got in town early and maybe you want to leave your bags early or something, or drop off your bags early. Well, this place permits you to leave your luggage early. Se permite dejar el equipaje. They permit, see, English root word in there, permit to leave dejar el equipaje. Now, equipaje, think of your luggage as your equipment. If you think of it like that, you'll see our root word equipment or equipment similar enough in there hiding. So you can relate it back. Oh, equipaje. Okay? Now, let's go over this side. You already see those sound waves. You already know something about Wi-Fi. So, Wi-Fi de 108 megas. Now, look at this car. You already know an accommodation, if it's showing something about a car, it's probably meaning something about like parking space or space or something like that. So, estacionamiento gratuito en la calle. So let's break that down. Estacionamiento. If you think about this word, estacio, stationary, that's kind of putting you in the mind of stationary, of the word stationary in English. And stationary means it's in place. It doesn't move. So if you think of it like that, a place to park is a place to be stationary. Estacionamiento gratuito en la calle. Okay, gratuito. Remember we said gratis right here was free? Well, sometimes you need to look at the root word of a previous Spanish word that you know, and you can gather what another varied Spanish word means, okay? So free, gratuito is free too. En la calle, calle is street. Okay, moving on. We see this right here, the all familiar television. Televisor con pantalla de 32 pulgadas y cable estándar, Chromecast. So that means a television with a screen of 32 inches and standard cable estándar, and Chromecast. Okay? Now, moving on. Right here, this little icon kind of looks like a patio, and you can kind of see our English word patio is right there. I believe patio is spelled like that in English, right? If I'm correct. So, but you just pronounce it put that Spanish twang on it. Patio. And again, if you're going over your Spanish alphabet, the sounds of the language, then you'll understand why they're pronounced certain ways. Patio o balcón privado. Now let's break that down. Patio or balcony, private. Okay? So a patio or private balcony. Now, another thing you need to be aware of is sentence structure, which we'll get into later, but the sentence structure in Spanish. You see how they're saying patio or balcón privado instead of patio and private balcony? That's because the noun, or the subject of what you're talking about, the noun, the person, place, or thing comes before the adjective, the descriptor. So that's why they say balcón privado instead of private balcony, like we say in English. And let's look at this one. This last one right here, look like a camera or something like that. You already know it's probably something about security, right? Right. Okay, so cámaras de seguridad en la parte exterior de la propiedad. Okay, let's break that down. You already know what that means. Okay, that word can hide. Cameras. Okay. Cámaras de seguridad en la parte exterior de la propiedad. Cameras of security. See, seguridad, security, seguridad. Very familiar sound and feeling. En la parte, you see our English word hiding in that Spanish? All they did is throw an E at the end. Part, that's what it means, part. But they had to throw that E on it because it adds that Spanish flavor. See, everything has ingredients, even the language. En la parte exterior, exterior. Okay, exterior. Does that match with our English? Okay, in the exterior de la propiedad. Propiedad means property. So, cámaras de seguridad en la parte exterior de la propiedad.